Hi, I'm Ted Prodromou. In this video, I'm going to talk about building your LinkedIn network. How big should your LinkedIn network be? That is by far the most common question people ask me. My students and clients are constantly asking me, how big should my network be? The answer is, of course, it depends on a lot of different factors. So before you answer that question, you need to answer this question. What is your LinkedIn objective? You're probably thinking, what is a LinkedIn objective? Everybody joins LinkedIn for a reason. Most people in the beginning joined LinkedIn because they got an invitation from a friend. It says, join me on LinkedIn. They didn't know what LinkedIn was, but they accepted. You can also join LinkedIn for a variety of factors. Let me go through a few and give you some examples, but you really need to know why you log into LinkedIn every day. What is your objective? What's your purpose? When you have a clear purpose to log into LinkedIn, you get much better results. So here's some reasons why maybe you joined LinkedIn. You want to establish your professional profile. LinkedIn started as an online resume site. Everybody posted their resumes, where you went to school, what jobs you've held, your current job, and people started connecting, and you build business networks based on those factors. So now it's a great place. Before people work with you as a consultant or as a professional, they're going to go to LinkedIn and check you out. They're going to look and see, where did you go to school? What jobs have you held? What recommendations do you have? Who is in your network? Who do you surround yourself with? You can also be on LinkedIn to stay in touch with colleagues and friends. It's a great place to reconnect with former coworkers or people you went to college with or high school even. There are other sites that do that. A lot of people use Facebook exclusively for personal use and LinkedIn for business. LinkedIn is the largest business networking site on the internet. A lot of people join LinkedIn to explore opportunities. They might be entrepreneurs or they're looking to change careers. Maybe they just graduated from college and they're looking for their first job. But LinkedIn is the perfect place to explore new opportunities. LinkedIn is also great to find experts that can answer your business-related questions. There's 250 million business professionals on LinkedIn, and many are willing to answer your questions. So you get the best of the best to answer your questions. So you just post questions, people respond, they help you out. They're more than willing to give you great advice, all for free. You can also use LinkedIn to sell your products and services. I don't recommend going on LinkedIn and pushing your products on people and spamming them with emails. You know, you hear that from me all the time. Don't be a pushy salesperson on LinkedIn. The best way to use LinkedIn is to build relationships and let people come back to you or let them find your website and purchase your products. Build relationships, focus on helping others, and it'll all come back to you in multiples. So your LinkedIn objective can be any of those reasons or a combination. There's many more reasons you could join LinkedIn, but those are the core reasons that I've discovered people join LinkedIn. So there's going to be one primary. You're going to be a little bit of all of those reasons, but there's one reason that you really need to know why you joined LinkedIn and how you're going to use it. So if you're going to use it for lead generation, come in with that intent. If you're going to do it for building a professional network, have that intent when you log in. If you're going to go in and just help people out, have that intent. But whatever intention you have, be really focused when you're on LinkedIn. So everybody asks me, what are these first degree, second degree, third degree? What does that mean? And basically, I'll go through these. There's different levels of connections on LinkedIn. People you're directly connected to, and then variations. It's kind of like your family tree in a way. And then there's some people that are just out of your network, people that aren't in your family. So to connect them, you need to go through other means. So first degree connection is people you're directly connected with. That means you invited them to connect and they accepted, or they invited you to connect and you accepted. So once you are connected, the little first degree icon appears next to their name. And that gives you the ability to email them directly within the LinkedIn system. That means you trust each other and you're okay with being connected and receiving emails from each other. A second degree connection are all the people that are connected to your first degree connections. And when you see people with a second degree icon, it means you can connect with them directly by clicking on connect, or you can contact them through an in-mail or an introduction. So here in this example, Jennifer, we have 5 shared connections in common. So that means she's a second degree connection to me. So if I want to connect with Jennifer, I can connect with her because I see her full name. That's a key distinction. I can also click on shared connections and have one of my connections introduce us. So you see here's 3 of the 5 people that we have in common. So obviously I trust my first degree connections, so I can contact any of them and say, what do you think of Jennifer? Do you think it's a good connection? Should she be in my network? Can she add value to my professional network? And I trust they'll give me the right answer. And usually when somebody's connected to my first degree connections, I trust them and I will connect to them if it's a match. So third degree connection, these are the people that are connected to your second degree. So it's kind of like a pyramid. Your first degree network has a number, say 1,000 people, and then your second level network is going to be substantially bigger because those 1,000 people may know 1,000 people. So you're talking about exponentially growing your network. And then the third level is people connected to your second level. So as you see, your network can get very large very quickly. So you're always like 1 step away or 2 steps away from literally connecting with millions of people. So if you see their full first name and last names displayed, you can send them an invitation by connecting with them. But if you only see the first letter of their last name, you can't click connect. The only way you can connect with them is send them an in-mail or have one of your second degree connections introduce you. So use a LinkedIn introduction there to reach out to third level. The next relationship within LinkedIn are our group members. So when you join a group, some groups have over 1 million people. I know like the eMarketing Network, that has over 500,000 people. So if I join that group, that means I can email anyone in that group directly within LinkedIn because we share a common group, which is incredible. So if you join a huge group, a very large group, it expands your network even bigger than your traditional connections. So you're exponentially reaching more people within LinkedIn just because you can email them through the groups. There is a setting that not a lot of people know about in your settings. So if you don't want to be contacted by other group members via email, you can disable that function within your settings. I usually leave that open because my goal is to connect with as many people as possible. But if people start abusing that, then I will set that setting in the future, or I will block them or just reach out to them and say, please don't contact me anymore with your messages. So when you do a LinkedIn search, you can search just for specific groups, and this is how you find people that you can potentially connect with or reach out to that aren't directly. So in this example, Kansan Mert, we have 2 shared connections, so he's a second level connection, but we also share similar groups. So I could email him or connect with him just by clicking on the connect button, or since we're in the groups together, I could send him a message, and then in the message, there's an option where you select the groups you have in common. So he knows we're both in the same group and he'll be more apt to read my message. And the last level is people out of your network. And these are people who fall outside all the categories. So they're not first, second, third level or in any groups. And I don't see that very often anymore on LinkedIn. I used to see it fairly frequently, but now as people join groups or as the networks become larger, you always seem to be 1 or 2 steps away from just about everybody on LinkedIn. So the only way you can reach out people out of your network is to send them an in-mail. And I'll do a whole video on in-mail because that's a whole art in itself. When you send an in-mail to someone, it gets scored, and if people don't open it, you get penalized. And if you send too many InMails that aren't opened, LinkedIn limits the number you can send. So it's a whole art to getting your InMails read and replied to. So networking on LinkedIn. There's two types of networking on LinkedIn. Open networking and strategic networking. And they're just total opposites of each other. Open networking, your focus is on quantity over quality. So these are very large networks, almost always over 10,000 connections, sometimes 30 or 40,000 connections. They don't spend much time building relationships because they're focused on adding new connections all the time. This is for recruiters and salespeople who want to cast a very wide net. So a recruiter will go out there and connect with 20 or 30 or 40,000 people. So he's always just one step away from a third level connection or a second level connection, so he can fill jobs as fast as possible with the right people. These are known as LinkedIn Open Networkers, or LION. So a LION will connect any invitation no matter what. They don't care who it is. They're going to connect with everybody that sends them an invitation, and they're going to be out there aggressively connecting with people too. So a LION wants as many connections as possible, so you're always that one connection away from someone that may be the perfect candidate for a job he's trying to fill, or a sales professional that's really trying to expand his reach. The LIONs promote their LION status in their profile, and they include the number of connections they have. Here's an example. They have clearly, Dalen has LION, and he has over 10,000 connections. He doesn't say he has 10,000 plus. He may have 20,000, but he's proud of being a LION. He wants to connect. That means it's a symbol saying, I want to connect with you. I'm open to connecting. Strategic networking is the total opposite. It's focusing on quality instead of quantity. So it's really, you keep your network size smaller so you can build stronger relationships. It's all about spending time building relationships. You don't want 20,000 people, because if you have 20,000 people in your network, you're probably only going to communicate with a couple hundred maybe periodically. 99% of them are going to be idle. They'll just be in your network. You can reach out to them, but it's just, I find it creates a lot of noise if you have too many people in your network and you start getting a lot of solicitations. So what you can do, I like to connect with the decision makers who can hire me as a consultant, or I connect with the people who I would work with. They could bring me in to be a consultant, and they would work with a decision maker to actually approve hiring the consultant. So think about it. How many people do you know? 100, 200, 500, 1,000? So if that's your personal network outside of LinkedIn, people you know, people you went to school with, people that are your friends today, how many people do you communicate on a regular basis? If all the people, if you wrote out every name of every person that you know and have met in your life, how many people do you actually communicate on a regular basis? It's usually like an 80-20 rule, or even worse, probably 95-5. Out of all the people you know, maybe 5% are regular contacts. So in 1992, Robin Dunbar studied this. He said, all the people we know in life, what's the optimal number? How many people can we have in our personal network that we actually have deep relationships with, or even regular relationships, regular communication with? And he came up with a number somewhere between 100 and 230 people. Is really, that's all we can manage. So you think about it, if you build a network of 10 or 20,000 people, you're only going to reach out to about 100 to 230 people on a regular basis. So keeping your network smaller lets you build stronger relationships and minimize the noise in your network. So I like to keep my network, I probably have about 2,000 people in my network right now. As I grow that network, I'm starting to get more solicitations and messages. The noise on my timelines, it gets more full, a lot of self-promotions. So I'm really thinking that might be good for me, but it may be different for you. It all depends. So you really have to kind of think about it. What's your LinkedIn objective? Why are you on LinkedIn? What's your purpose? How many people do you need in your network to be effective? So the optimal size of your network really depends on a lot of factors that are only you can answer. And you can experiment, keep growing your network, and then when it reaches a tipping point, you may want to back off and stop connecting with people. You can even remove people from your network if they're not the right fit. But really, for me personally, I like to keep my network under control. I just don't want to connect with everybody just to have a lot of connections. I want to be connected with the right people instead of just everybody. So the next step is connection request etiquette. Like I say, you can go out there and just click that connect button and reach out to people, but when you do, never ever use that canned message. Always write personal invitations to people when you connect with them. Find some kind of relationship or bond and add that to your invitation, and more times than not, they're going to come back and reply to you, and your connection will be deeper from the get-go. So when you receive a connection request, you can accept it, reply, ignore, and report as spam. And they used to have more options, but they've narrowed it down to these 4 now. And I'll go through each one now and show you what they mean. So this person will immediately become a first to read connection if I click on accept. So that means I can see from his name, his picture, and his professional headline that this may be somebody I'd want to connect with. For me personally, I'm kind of a snob. If somebody has a picture like that where they're hiding behind a camera, I may not connect with them because I want to see people's face. I want to get to know people. That's all about me building my deep relationships. We also use the standard message that uses an older message. Since you're a person I trust, I wanted to invite you to join my LinkedIn network. He didn't customize that in any way. So, I would have a red flag on that one. What I would do with this kind of invitation, I would click reply. So I can go back and ask Rick. It says, okay, tell me more about you. You're director of IT, I see that, but why would you be a good fit for my professional network? How could you help add value to my network? And how can I add value to your network? So I'd reach out to him and start a conversation in email before we connect. If it's someone I just don't want to connect with, I said this isn't a fit for me. Like if he didn't have a picture there, or he didn't have a professional headline, or he had some kind of professional headline that was offending, I would say ignore. That means it just goes away. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Here's one I found in mine. He wants to connect with me, but there's no picture, there's no professional headline, and I actually checked it out and they had just very few connections. So for me, this adds absolutely no value to my network. I don't know who this person is. I don't see how they can help me or I can help them. So if it was really offending, I would report it as spam. But in this case, I'd probably just ignore this one. But sometimes people get really annoying. And if they repeatedly keep trying to connect with me, I will report them as spam. And then they won't come back anymore. They'll be eliminated from blocking me. It'll block people from trying to connect with you. So your homework. You need to determine your LinkedIn objective. What's your purpose for being on LinkedIn? When you get really clear on your LinkedIn objective, you're going to be much more effective with LinkedIn and get much better results. And are you going to be an open networker or a strategic networker? Are you trying to cast a very wide net? Or do you want to build a smaller network with deeper relationships? And next, start building your network. Try to add a few connections every day, but add the right connections based on if you're going to be an open networker or a strategic networker. And that's it for today. Thanks a lot, everybody.